the best virtual performance is
Gollum, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers.
Hi everybody, my name's Andy Serkis and I'm delighted to receive this award on behalf of everybody who brought Gollum to life. It is a complete marriage of skills.
You're a liar and a thief. It's mine. I won it. It was me. We only won because of me.
That's enough, Gollum.
Piss off, Serkis, you stupid, fat-with-faced turd.
I'm not fat.
As you may already know, this is Andy Serkis.
My balls, excuse my French, are in an iron vice. Corporate are twisting and squeezing like a bunch of dominatrixes on steroids, and now Lucy is presenting her own redesign without you. Will you tell me what's going on, please?
And he really knows how to act as anything.
I offered you peace, and you killed my family.
He can act as an ape, a giant ape, a baby ape, a Gollum, a Gollum impersonating Theresa May, and much more.
I cannot be betrayed.
With motion capture,
Pathetic child.
or without motion capture,
One way out. Right now.
and even acting as two characters at the same time.
Caesar, I'm on Conan.
Conan is funny.
He has
created this new kind of performance in a way. And he fell into it. I mean, he was cast as Gollum just for his voice, and then I guess Peter Jackson realized what a great physical performance he was giving and that he should try and capture that in some way.
And still,
unlike some of the other actors, you probably don't get recognized. No one can recognize you as Gollum. Does that ever bother you? Do you ever just want to tell people I'm Gollum?
so today, we're going to understand the genius of 1,000 faces.
We were basically meeting actors who could do good voice work, because at that point we thought we were just looking for a voice actor.
So let me put it this way. Imagine it's 1998, and you're an actor trying to advance your career, and suddenly, your agent calls to tell you that you've got an audition for a trilogy of major blockbuster movies adapted from a famous book. But the only catch is that your face won't appear in it.
And I thought, oh God, I'd love to play this character just in prosthetics, or, you know, find a way of doing it, lose weight as much as I could, and you know, but...
Most actors would feel disappointed, but here's where it gets interesting. To prepare for the audition, Serkis approached it with a seriousness that no one attributed to 3D characters back in that time.
Andy resented that fact. He resented the fact that people didn't honor the work he was doing while we were shooting it.
Andy Serkis. Hiya. He's playing a strange guy in tights.
I remember Sean saying to me, but am I supposed to act with you? Because I remember him looking past me, and I was going, Sean, you know, come on, let's, you know, hey, I'm here for you, buddy. You know, act with me here.
To us, raw and wriggling.
Back then, CGI characters were just window dressing or comic relief, and no one thought they could have any real psychological depth.
I give up. I give up.
But Serkis truly committed himself to studying every aspect of Gollum's psychology and how this would be reflected in his mannerisms, speech, and movements. He genuinely grasped Gollum's nature as an addict, but also as a soul in constant suffering. And he crafted his voice from every ordinary input.
So for me, it all came from the physicality, from a psychological kind of trying to underpin him psychologically before I could really get to where I needed to be for the audition. So something about his voice had to be generated involuntarily, and I wanted to find something that made that sound happen. My cats at home had a big impact on how Gollum's voice came about, because they get fur balls in their throats after they lick.
And we'll be the
So that became that then became
Gollum.
And that's how he arrived at the day of an audition that would mark the beginning of a change in the history of cinema.
Take it off us. It hurts us.
Don't listen to him, Fred. He's trying to trick us.
When you watch this casting of this innocent Andy Serkis who had no idea what his career would become, inevitably the question arises, why bother so much with Gollum's facial performance if it wasn't going to be seen?
And it was really in that audition that I came to realize something that it never really occurred to me, and that the voice and the facial expressions and the energy are related.
But I think the question is misdirected. Serkis doesn't make that facial performance in addition to the voice. He does it almost as a side effect. He couldn't achieve that perfect Gollum voice if he didn't fully embody the character. And it's thanks to that attitude that Peter Jackson was so enamored with his performance and had the will to capture it no matter what.
Andy is performing with Elijah and Sean. All of his movements that he's making are actually being recorded by a computer.
Back then, technology wasn't as advanced, so his gestures would be a direct reference for the animators, and the motion capture would only apply to his body. Either way, Serkis was inventing a new way of acting.
This is brilliant. This is amazing. This is a tool which enables the actor to become anything you want to be. You know, it's brilliant.
Andy totally earned his right to be Gollum the hard way because he was coming into a situation where none of us really thought we needed Andy.
And it is an acting method that would continue to evolve for years, allowing Serkis to perfect his performance as Gollum and exploit it 12 years later in The Hobbit, where perhaps the only thing superior to the original trilogy is, well, Gollum, for technological reasons. Such progress, however, only materialized in 2005 with King Kong. If you're wondering who spearheaded this advancement, well, you know the answer.
Kind of a big day for us today. It's the first day that we're going to have Andy Serkis on set playing Kong.
I was so scared. He is so insane. As King Kong, he is not a human.
Here, the significant leap occurred. Serkis now not only utilized motion capture, but also performance capture.
Gollum was filmed on set, and then the animators copied the facial expressions, but this time we used a system called facial motion capture.
This time, Serkis' gestures would be directly translated into Kong's animation, marking a fundamental step forward in the development of his technique. But to talk about gestures and monkeys, let's go back to one of my favorite scenes from the new Planet of the Apes saga.
Do you have any idea what your mercy would do to us? You're much stronger than we are. You're smart as hell. No matter what you say, you'd eventually replace us. That's the law of nature.
It's a dialogue between Caesar and the Colonel in that sort of ape concentration camp.
You have no mercy.
It starts with Caesar confronting the Colonel for killing his defenseless family, and the Colonel justifying himself
Their medic had a theory.
by explaining that the virus has become a threat to humanity.
The virus that every human survivor still carries had suddenly changed, mutated.
And what I love about this scene is Caesar's reaction.
Not by killing us, but by robbing us of those things that make us human. Our speech, our higher thinking.
First, we have a 27-second long shot of the Colonel explaining what this virus mutation entails, then a shot of Caesar reacting, with a surprise that helps us identify with him because we too are surprised.
You talk about mercy? What would you have done?
And then, after a reverse shot of the Colonel, we see Caesar's final reaction.
It was a moment of clarity for me.
And this is the shot that fascinates me, because
The basic usage of performance capture is, you see it on the screen, you will see the apes, but they're apes which are infused with the heart and soul of an actor's performance.
you see, throughout the movies, we've seen the apes evoke different types of emotions, like fear, anger, joy, pain, surprise, or disgust. What psychologist Paul Ekman would call primary expressions.
These expressions are universal. Emotion looks the same whether you're a suburban housewife or a suicide bomber. The truth is written on all our faces.
And yes, he's the guy Lie to Me is based on.
He's lying.
But we're not going too much in that direction. The thing is, these are the first emotions we start to see in Caesar. And not only are they more primitive emotions, but they're also easier for an actor to evoke, because they're universal and easier to identify. But something different is happening here.
It was a moment of clarity for me. I realized...
With a multitude of small gestures that communicate what is going through Caesar's mind. If you look closely, most of the expression is in the eyes. The mouth remains almost the same, but with just them, Serkis is able to convey a lot to us. His expression is subtly different from his earlier surprise. Now there is first dismay, then sadness, resignation. And finally his eyes shift slightly as if he is processing me information with deep concern. And I don't want to switch to Lie to Me mode now, but I don't believe you have to be an expert in nonverbal communication to understand this.
It was a moment of clarity for me.
The most expressive eyes It blows my mind to see how much he can convey with saying nothing. I've never encountered that kind of extremity of just ability to convey things through his eyes.
Because here's the thing with Andy Serkis.
The greatest mystery about performance capture is there is no mystery. It's the same as acting.
He's a master at controlling each of his facial muscles, but also at vocal performance.
A world founded upon faith and understanding.
And he's also a master of body language.
Performance capture isn't about sort of doing gross body movements and pantomiming. It's actually where it's at its most powerful is in its stillness. You know, being brave enough to hold a close-up. It's a very complex thing in a way that we do.
Resist the bait.
Because you're not working in a big suit, a big furry suit. So it's not about the external of it. It's much, much more about the internalization of it.
The truth is, he has paved the way for many actors in this approach to character interpretation. And the thing is that at times, we perceive technological advancements in cinema as negative. And don't get me wrong, in many respects they are.
The task I have in mind will require a great deal
because we know that they can lead creatives to opt for less ingenious solutions. But I like to think of Andy Serkis as the embodiment of the positive aspects of implementing new technologies in cinema, as proof that these are tools that, when used well, can create feats akin to magic, like a monkey with human emotions, or a fantasy creature brought to life. That's why I have no doubt that Andy Serkis may not be the face of many of his characters, but he is indeed the face of his greatest legacy. A new way of acting.
Cut.